Hey Mystics, welcome back to my channel for our second video of the Chakra series, where I will inform you all about the sacral chakra. So let's get right into it. And let me ask, have you ever noticed that sometimes life just feels dull or not even necessarily bad, but just kind of like flat, just like bleh? You notice that your creativity disappears. You stop enjoying things that once made you happy. Your emotions either feel completely shut off or completely overwhelming. You might feel disconnected from your body, your passions, or even from other people, even those that are very close to you. Well, in many spiritual traditions, this experience is connected to an imbalance of the sacral chakra, which is the energy center responsible for your emotions, creativity, pleasure, and connection. Today, we'll explore what the sacral chakra is, how it influences your life, and simple ways you can begin bringing it back into balance. The sacral chakra is the second energy center in the body. It sits about 2 inches below the navel in the lower abdomen. This chakra is associated with the element of water, which is symbolic in the sense that water flows, adapts, and moves freely. But if that water is blocked for whatever reason, it'll become stagnant, heavy, and sometimes even toxic. Just as our emotions, when we address and remove the blockages that keep us from feeling and processing freely, then they move through us. But if we suppress them, avoid them, or feel ashamed of them, then that emotional energy gets stuck. So, when our sacral chakra is balanced, our emotions flow naturally. We are then able to experience joy, pleasure, creativity, and connection without guilt or fear. The symbol of the sacral chakra is a six-petaled lotus flower with a crescent moon that is inside of a circle. And as always, each part of the symbol has its meaning. So the circle represents the natural cycles of life, constantly moving, changing, and transforming. The crescent moon represents the emotional tides within us. Just like the moon influences the ocean's tides, it symbolizes how our emotions rise and fall over time. And the six petals represent emotional patterns that can throw us out of balance when we become consumed by them. Things like anger, jealousy, pride, or attachment are all very common and normal human emotions, and it's part of the human experience. But when we become trapped in them or overconsumed by them, then our emotional energy eventually will stop flowing or have a weaker flow or too much of a flow, which causes that imbalance or blockage. The sacral chakra is deeply connected to both the physical and emotional body. Physically, it's associated with areas like the reproductive organs, so the womb, the ovaries, or a man's testicles. Also, the kidneys or your bladder, your lower abdomen and lower back, as well as your hips and your digestive system. Emotionally, this chakra influences things like creativity, sensuality, passion, your emotional expression, your joy, and your intimacy in relationships. When this chakra becomes blocked or imbalanced, it can show up in different ways. Emotionally, someone may experience low self esteem, difficulty expressing themselves and their emotions, unhealthy or toxic attachments in relationships, especially intimate relationships. feeling emotionally numb, and losing touch with your creativity or overall passions. Sometimes the opposite can actually happen with an overflow of energy in the sacral chakra, where your emotions may feel overwhelming or completely out of control. Physically, people may experience things like tension in the hips, digestive comfort, hormonal imbalance, or reproductive issues like irregular periods, ovarian cysts, or infertility in both men and women. Now, this doesn't mean that the blocked chakra causes these problems directly, but in many traditions, it's believed our emotional state can most definitely influence our physical well being. So, what causes the sacral chakra to be blocked? Well, many sacral chakra imbalances trace back to early emotional experiences, things like shame around emotions or being taught that pleasure and sexuality is wrong. Also emotional neglect or suppressing your feelings instead of expressing them. Also, deep relationship wounds or even traumatic experiences, especially related to sexual abuse or sexual trauma. And over time, when left unresolved, this can create a disconnect between the mind, the body, and our emotional world. When the sacral chakra is healthy and balanced, life tends to feel very different. You'll notice creativity flows naturally and your emotions are easier to process. You feel more comfortable in your body and your overall relationships feel more authentic because you are able to experience pleasure and joy and just freely being able to be yourself and take up space without guilt. You'll also notice that it's easier to listen to and trust your intuition and knowing that it's okay to have emotional responses, but also being able to cope as well in a healthy way. But just overall, you truly do become more present within life itself. It's a lot more fun to experience life when you're not so caught up in your head and trying to control every single thing. Sometimes it is a good thing to kind of turn your brain off and just allow spirit or whatever you believe in to guide you. Now, as mentioned before, because this chakra is connected to water and movement, bringing it into balance often involves flow and expression of self. Simple practices like allowing yourself to feel emotions without judging them can drastically help with the flow of that energy. Also, movement, especially anything that opens the hips and encourages fluidity, such as stretching or hitting certain yoga poses like the goddess pose, the pigeon pose, wide leg, forward fold, or happy baby pose. Even just allowing yourself to dance freely, like no one is watching, can be very, very healing. Next, spending time around water, whether that be swimming, taking a nice, relaxing bath, whether that's just self care or more of a spiritual bath, or sitting near water, just simply sitting near it and listening to it and just enjoying that breeze that normally comes up off the water, that will help literally restore your energy center so quickly. Creative expression also, such as painting, writing, cooking, listening to or making music, or just anything that lets your imagination move freely, along with eating more foods that are associated with this chakra, particularly orange foods like oranges, of course, pumpkins, sweet potatoes, and mangoes. Affirmations can also be very helpful by reinforcing a balanced sacral chakra. You want to use phrases like, I allow myself to feel freely. Creativity flows through me with ease. I am deserving of pleasure and joy. Last but not least, the mantra associated with the sacral chakra is VAM, VAM. So, sitting in meditation while chanting this sound is believed to send vibrations to that energy center, allowing it to activate and harmonize. The sacral chakra reminds us that life isn't meant to be lived only through logic and control. It's meant to be felt through joy, through creativity, through connection. And when we allow ourselves to move with the natural flow of life, we often rediscover parts of ourselves we didn't even realize were missing. Thank you again so much for joining me today. And I really do hope that you enjoyed this video and it was able to help in some type of way. If you are interested in learning more about the other energy centers in the body, please make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. See you next time. Peace.